Hey guys, it's your favorite gold miner, prospector, and geologist, Jeff Williams. And I got a special treat for you guys today. We're going out prospecting and looking for something we saw on Google Earth. Now this one got my attention because I can't quite figure out what it is, and it's in a gold bearing district. So you know me, I'm gonna get out there and find out what it is. And I'm gonna give you some geology along the way. So let's get into it.
We start our journey under the blistering sun, across the rugged mountains of gold country. A land where whispers of fortune echo through the canyons, and every gust of wind seems to carry the tales of prospectors who chase dreams as elusive as the mirages shimmering on the Horizon. These mountains bear witness to the relentless pursuit of a dream, where the promise of gold has lured adventurers from far and wide.
Oh wow, look at this, black sand. Look, this is nothing but black sand. All through here. This would be a good place to sample on this bedrock. That's all black sand, see that? All right, now I've been finding little bits of float. They call it float when it's part of a quartz vein. It breaks off from the host, travels down the hill. Look at this. Now this obviously looks like somebody put it there because I don't have a vein anywhere near this. So somebody's been out here prospecting and doing what we're doing today. So this is a good sign. We just need to find out where it came from and if there's mineralization in it. Because you can find quartz veins all day long, that don't mean nothing. You gotta have mineralization in them, and even that don't mean nothing, because I've seen mineralized veins not have a speck of gold in them. So you gotta do your research, do your homework, and you gotta play detective. Now I'm gonna surmise that there's a quartz vein hiding somewhere up there in that mountain. In fact, I'm sure of it. But that's not what we're here for today. But I'm definitely gonna mark it on the map and come back when it gets a little bit cooler, and I'll comb the whole side of that mountain until I find it. Because there's pieces of float everywhere, like this one. And I know they came from somewhere up there. You guys see what I see? Maybe not on the camera, but there's a trail right here, right where my finger's pointing. See it? And it goes all the way down that way and down into the wash. 50 bucks says that there's a mine on the other end of this trail, so we're gonna follow it. Now I got a blowout over here, not a volcanic vent, but an outcropping of a float of quartz. I want you to see this, because when you're out in the field, it's important you recognize these, that way you can try to pinpoint the source. But I've got all this basalt laying on the ground, you see that? Then I got a piece of quartz there. Quartz, see it's getting heavier, thicker. Heavier, thicker. See the pieces? I got pieces everywhere. They're getting heavier and thicker. And then more pieces. And then this is it. It stops. There's nothing more down the hill there. I got a few pieces over here and it's scattered. See that? And some of it is mineralized. Looks pretty good. That tells me there's a vein running east to west because I've got a huge concentration right up on this ridge. I'm gonna mark that on my map. I'm gonna come back later and see if I can determine where it's at. It's not a super healthy vein, but it does have some red staining in it, which is always good. So this area is really proving to be promising because of all of the indicators that I'm seeing. And this is what you should be looking for too when you're out in the field, is these types of indicators if you're in this type of geological setting. Remember, it's not a one-all-fits-all type of scenario. You're gonna have certain geological indicators in one area that you don't find in another area. So just keep that in mind. That is why research is so critical, so important when you're out here looking for this stuff, because it gives you a head start. If not, you could spend weeks, months, years out here combing the hills and then finally figuring out the picture. Save yourself some time, trouble, and a whole bunch of headaches. Do the research. Now, most of the host rock out here is in the granite family. These are granitoids. You have a lot of granite diorite, you have a lot of quartz monzonite, syenite, all these different types of rocks that are in the granite family. And granite's easy to identify because it contains mostly quartz, which is the white, feldspars, which are usually pink, we call them K-spars, and then the black stuff can be hornblende, and the shiny stuff that people think is gold is mica, mostly biotite mica, which is the black mica. And of course, when you see clear micas, those are muscovite. Those are good indicators too for this particular area. There's a lot of tertiary volcanics going on in this area and they're all mixed together. But what we're looking for is any type of quartz veins that have outcropped, especially if they're super red and especially if they're brecciated.
Let me tell you something you already know. The world ain't all sunshine and rainbows. It's a very mean and nasty place, and I don't care how tough you are, it will beat you to your knees and keep you there permanently if you let it. You, me, or nobody is gonna hit as hard as life. But it ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward. That's how winning is done. Now, if you know what you're worth, now go out and get what you're worth. But you gotta be willing to take the hits and not pointing fingers saying you ain't where you want to be because of him or her or anybody. Cowards do that and that ain't you. You're better than that.
Oh wait, no, I see it right across the ridge. You see it? Right there, it's hiding. I would have never seen it hadn't I been looking for that pesky trail. Yep, that's the one. So we're gonna run over there first, but let me see if there's anything else along the way. Because chances are nobody's been on this trail for 150 years. Look, I see another trail right there. Do you see it? Going up over that way. I'll bet you there's another one over there. So we'll follow this one later. There, you can see it really clear now. See that well-defined switchback? And I see red. It might be scoria, but we'll check it out later. For right now, we're headed right there. I see an adit down there, and I see what we saw on Google Earth, which is those two structures right there. And I think there's a third one on the other side of the hill.
Workings consist of a 300-foot-long shaft and several adits, all totaling 4,000 feet. Ore is in 3 parallel quartz veins striking east and dipping 50 degrees north, cutting through granite. One vein is 4 to 20 feet wide, averaging 12 feet wide. Total production reported at about $150,000 worth of gold at $20 an ounce.
There's a butterfly, see him? That's good luck. Butterflies are really good luck when you're out in nature. See him? All right, we're down the ridge from the mine, and I wanted to show you this huge collection of black sand. Now, the reason why I'm telling you this is because if you're in areas that produce free mill gold in these hard rock mines, sample the mine dumps and sample right down below in any washes, rivers, or creeks that are directly below the outcrop that they mined into, or even the waste rock piles. Because a lot of times over 20, 30, 100 years, a lot of the material has washed down into the lowest point, which is naturally what? Rivers, creeks, and washes. This is a good place to prospect and sample because Mother Nature's done all the work for you. What I would recommend doing is looking for bedrock exposures and sampling those. That way you get a really fast, quick snapshot of what's in the area. And I got some nice bedrock here. So we're gonna sample that real quick and I'm gonna see if there's any free mill gold here. See that? All that black sand, isn't that beautiful? Look at that, just gobs and gobs of it. That is amazing. I got bedrock over there and I got bedrock right here. So I'm gonna go ahead and sample off of the cracks and fissures because Mother Nature's already done all the work for me. And then later we'll take that down and pan it. In the meantime, I'll continue to do grab samples, chip samples, maybe even a channel sample, and then we can take that and crush it and see if there's any gold in it. But that way I've got my bases covered. Now another good indicator I found out here is this greenstone. Now, not to be confused with metavolcanics greenstone, that's a whole different type. And there are gold deposits that are associated with greenstone belts, but that's for another discussion. And those are usually the result of regional metamorphism. But that's not what this is. This has got a lot of olivine and amphibolite inside of it. So we're gonna keep poking around, and when I see something different, I'm gonna show you what that looks like too, so you can be aware of it. Now remember what I told you about getting one of these dust busters? These are perfect samplers on bedrock. Just scrape and vacuum, and then you can pan it later. Now when you're using these backpacks, remember that it's only going to fill up to about 1/3 before it chokes it off. And so what I'll do is I'll empty that into a container or a plastic bag, and then I'll put that in my pack, and then I'll keep filling up until I've reached about, I don't know, 20-30 pounds of material. And then I'll move on to the next site. But remember, that pack is going to get heavy real fast. And I've seen a lot of guys get gold fever, and they fill that pack up on the first shot, and it's about 100 pounds. And they never make it out because it's too heavy, so they leave their pack behind. So we're gonna pace ourselves on this one. All right, that's about all I'm gonna take from this one little piece of bedrock. And we're gonna move on, and I'm gonna see what I can find down at this mine, because I'm really curious, and I know you're curious. But I'm not gonna do nothing until you smash that like button. Smash it hard! See all that red dirt up there? That's the material, or the color of the material that they were pulling out of that mine. That's good news, because remember what I told you, the redder the better. And it looks like they had a milling operation here on site. That's even better, because mines that are poor don't do their own milling. They send it out somewhere else. Another thing is, look at this red pile, it leaches right down here into this wash. So you know I'm taking samples down in here too. And then I got an adit right over here. So we're gonna go take a look at that. But you can see where this has all been weathering down in here into the wash. And all I need is a little bit of bedrock like that. And I'm gonna take samples, see what's coming out of it. Look at that. There's a little adit right there, you see that? Looks like somebody's already beat me to it though. Let's go take a look. Oh, yeah, it's not bad. Got a lot of rats living in this one. A lot of rats. Oh, it's just an exploratory. See that? And there's bats already. Sorry, I didn't mean to wake you up. Now, this was used for either one of two purposes. Either this was their powder magazine, because they like to keep it far away from the workings, or they were trying to do a crosscut underneath this vein, because the vein up on the hill looks like it runs east and west, and this cross cuts to the north. So if I were to put my money on it, I'd say it's a cross cut, because it'd be too hard to bring powder down here and then get it back out. Of course, we're gonna take this wash all the way down too, because veins just don't stop abruptly. They pinch and swell, but for the most part, they continue. And they also have parallel veins like I told you about. So we're gonna look for those too. I'm going to sample where all this material has washed down onto this bedrock. Now, I'm not saying there's gold there, but I'm saying if you're out in this type of situation and you see that type of scenario, definitely sample. Now, you could sample the tails, or what they call tailings, but I'm more interested down here, and I might take a grab sample of some of that classified material that they got up there. So we'll grab that. If you're gonna do multiple samples, especially with sands and gravels, keep them separated. So I'm keeping each one of these separated. I'll pan them out separately, and that way I can determine A, is there gold in there, and B, from what location did it come from. Sometimes it looks like a no-brainer, but trust me, I've seen gold show up in places it shouldn't. So remember that. Keep your sample bags separate and marked so you don't forget where they came from. You see these tanks? This is used for mercury. You capture the mercury settles in the bottom, the water goes over the top. That's why the bottom has got concrete in it, because the mercury will attack that metal. Then they scrape up whatever mercury was lost and they use it again. They probably had some type of small jaw crusher, stamp mill, shaker table, and they'd have mercury on the copper plate. They capture the mercury in those concrete troughs. And then all the tails that are left in here would be shoveled out over there. So you're saying, Jeff, if that's the case, wouldn't that be a good place to sample? Yeah, you guys are thinking. You're absolutely right. I like you guys thinking about this stuff, not just sitting there watching some crazy guy run through the hills. Look at that stope. Isn't that a good looking stope? Stoles still look pretty good. There's the vein material they're chasing. Looks like it drops down maybe 100 feet, maybe 2. So these are the things I saw on Google Earth when I was just scouting the area. And like I said, there is nothing out here. So chances are BLM sealed this up using helicopters, because there's no way they could have packed this stuff in. No way, it's too much material. So that tells me they don't want people in here for either one of 2 reasons. 1, it's a safety hazard, or 2, there's still gold in here. You guys tell me which one you think it is by leaving me a comment down below. But once again, BLM did a really good job sealing this thing up. It's an incline shaft. I can see the first level right down there. It wouldn't be hard to drop in with a rope. Definitely tapped into a rich vein. Your question should be, Jeff, you told us that veins pinch and swell. Yeah, they do. If I had to guess, this vein continues on the other side of the hill and keeps going, and there's probably other veins in the nearby area which are referred to as parallel veins. And we're gonna go take a peek and see if we can find something. Look at that, isn't that beautiful? That beautiful hematite mixed in with the quartz, and it's brecciated too. Do you see that? This is just a slight little outcropping. And the material looks really, really good. Look at that. Doesn't that just get you all hot and bothered?
Yeah!
Yeah, let's keep going. Look at that outcropping. That is nice looking. That's what they were after. Now I'm gonna say this is the outcropping they originally found. I don't know why they didn't drop a shaft on top of it or do a cross cut right into it. Maybe the grades on this is too low, so they dropped the shaft over there. Or maybe they were meaning to go in there and came over here. You can see all the beautiful ilmenite, limonite, brecciated quartz, everything that you wanna see when you're out prospecting. So we're gonna take a peek around. Look at that, isn't that the most beautiful material you've ever seen? Almost looks like a banded iron formation, don't it? But it's not. Sure enough. Here's a cross cut right here. I knew it. Now what you can do if you don't know where the gold is in these vein structures is you can do what's called a channel sample, and you just channel straight across the vein. Me personally, I would channel in this brecciated quartz. And all that means is that the quartz has been broken up and fractured through faulting and shearing. Usually there's another episode after that of hydrothermal fluids coming in and re-cementing it back together. It's usually those later episodes that are carrying that fine ionic gold that helps re-cement those quartz, fractured quartz pieces back together. And it's usually really fine grain, so they call it fine grain mass that re-cements it together. And that's usually where your gold is. That is a good spot to do a channel sample, right from here to up to here, right through here. And look at that. That's nice. So you'll take a channel sample right across here to here. Wow, look what I found. This is at the bottom, see that? It's a monster. Look at that huge, huge outcropping. And they basically blasted away all the footwall and hanging wall and just left the vein in between. Now, if I had to guess, there's a portal right there and an adit, and all this stuff is sloughed off over the last 150 years. This would be worth exploring. I mean, just look at it. It's just gorgeous. Look at this material. Oh, that's good looking material. Look at how well defined the hanging wall was up against the vein material. It's got to be, what, 4, maybe 5 feet wide? That thing's a monster. It's huge. I can see the top of the portal right here. That's the top of the portal, and there's an adit there. And look at this stuff that's just down below it. Oh, that's gorgeous material. Nice. Nothing like ugly looking ore. It's the best kind. So they definitely got up underneath this thing. Bet you it's rich inside. Oh, this is the stuff dreams are made of. And see just what, oh, they got mines across the ridge too. It's just one continuous vein. And I got parallel veins. I told you, parallel veins, come on. You can see where they notched the mountain right here. And see the veins, all the little tiny stringers and parallel veins running this way. Ooh, that's juicy. Look at that. The mine where we're at, the mine dumps used to go all the way out to there. So this whole thing was mine dump until it was eroded away. So check down below in the wash. I bet you there's small gold down there. Wow, and this is the other one that I saw on Google Earth. It's a monster, look at this. Just look at the size of the mine dump before it got washed away. Look at this. Oh, and they had a boiler too. See this, the front of the boiler plate? Oh, and this whole thing was mine dump all the way across until it was eroded away. Oh, and look, it looks like they had electricity. Oh, I gotta do a rock test. I gotta do a rock test. Let's do a rock test real quick, okay? Rock test. Oh. Down there is a perfect place to sample because all the mine dump has eroded down into there. So all you need is a bedrock exposure. And if you can find a bedrock exposure, that's gonna trap all the gold that was in the mine dump because you know they didn't get it all. Oh, I can't believe how big these mine dumps are. I'm really impressed. Thought it was just gonna be a little exploratory. Yeah, and the boiler sat up here too. You can see the concrete right here for where the boiler sat. So yeah, they definitely had a boiler here. There's the concrete foundations for the hoisting works. They must have had a huge head frame right here. And I'll bet you this shaft connects not only to that plugged adit over there, but it also connects to the other workings we saw earlier. Imagine getting into there. Oh, and there's a compressor pipe, see it? Right there. They're using that for compressed air for the drills. Oh, that is cool. They had a boiler, they had a hoist, obviously, and they had a compressor. Of course, I gotta know what's over that ridge because the vein is traveling east and west. So now I gotta know what's over that ridge. Look at this. You can see where they drilled and blasted this little section out. See if they could get a taste of that vein. Look at this. There's more of that vein material down there, you see it? It looks like it's starting to thin out though. Right there. See the mine dump? So the mine dump goes from there. It went all the way across here, all the way over there to the shaft. Oh, look what I see. See that little hole? Oh yeah, I'm checking that out. But first, I gotta see where this switchback goes. There's a switchback right here. All right, I'm gonna climb up there, and that way I can get a better vantage point of this vein and see if there's any other workings. Now this doesn't look like a cut for the vein. This looks just like they had some type of a rail system here, high grade pile, a rail system here that they would tram the ore out. Now I don't know if they were tramming down this way or if they were tramming there, but I've got a lot of activity over here. I mean, I've got platforms everywhere, and I've got posts everywhere. I've got this wide clearing right here. You see that? Look at that, there's pieces of the boiler. Oh, look down there, you see that? And if I had to guess, they had an ore bin here on the side of the hill, and they were tramming the material over from that shaft to here. And it looks like there was a road right here at one time before it got washed out. And you can see right there, see where the vein continues? Right there, there's a blowout of quartz, iron staining, part of the vein. These are all the things you want to see on a high-grade gold deposit. They had a boiler right there too. All right, let's get down there and take a look. There's where the boiler sat. You can tell the way that it stepped, that there was a milling operation here. Look at the size of that flue on the top of this. This would go in front of the boiler. See that? And then they would vent it up with that big old pipe over there. Here's the foundations for the machinery. So obviously this was a big operation for them to build a mill right here to process all the material. I thought the other one was a mill. It's just a little tiny one. This was the major operation right here. And it looks like always, what? Looks like somebody came in here and they burned the mill down, because I can see evidence of fire. I hate that, I really do. People gotta come out here in the middle of nowhere and burn everything down. But this is why I and a lot of other people don't reveal the locations of mines on the internet, because people come out here and they do what? They use their 2 brain cells to burn down any type of history that's out here that's remained for the last 150 years. A lot of people are gonna use strange names to talk about locations and the names of mines, and that's why. Because this is a milling operation, this is where all the high grade went. And if this is where all the high grade went, you should have piles of high grade. You can see where they had an ore bin at the top. They probably had some kind of jaw crusher, probably had a 2-battery stamp mill, which is 10 stamps. And then they probably had tables, amalgamation tables. Now, based on the width of these ledges, I would guess to say that it was a 2-battery stamp mill, which is 10 stamps. But this is really a big operation. This is a lot bigger than I expected. This is my point, is you never know what you're gonna find when you're searching Google Earth. And that's why I tell you, if you see something, mark it on a map. When you get a chance and the weather permits, get out there and check it out. Get boots on the ground. Because I never saw this on Google Earth. I only saw the coverings. And you never know what you're gonna find, especially if you get high-grade piles. And this is another thing you should look for, is high-grade piles. Areas that didn't make it through the mill. And I'm sure I'll find some around here and we can sample that. But this is promising. The question is why did the mine shut down? Did it shut down because it ran out of good ore? Did it shut down because of economic issues? Or did it shut down because of the start of World War II, which Executive Order L208 shut down all of the mines, all gold mines anyway. That means there's tons of gold still in those mines. See the bedrock I've got right here where I'm standing on? This is all black sand. See that? Just gobs and gobs of it. And where does it come from? It comes from those mine dumps. The mine dump went from there all the way across to there. That was nothing but mine dump. And Mother Nature over 150 years eroded all that away, dumped it in the wash, and she basically, this is a giant sluice box, and she did all the hard work. If there's any gold, it's gonna be from the mine dumps. It's gonna be in this bedrock. And that's what you should be doing too, is sampling bedrock right down below the mine dumps, especially if you see that a lot of it's been eroded away. Evidence of buildings everywhere. anywhere, and it's not on any map. That's the strange thing about it. And that's why I always tell you, check your Google Earth. Don't always rely on USGS reports, because I didn't see anything in the USGS about this area. Some idiot took the tag off of this. Is there no limit to people's stupidity? Now I'm gonna take all these samples home and I'm crush them down and pan them out. And if there's any gold in them, we'll put snapshots at the end of the video. And I want you to tell me where you think it came from if we do find gold. Now don't forget, at the end of this month, we're giving away a brand new Gold Monster 1000 metal detector and bags of pay dirt from our sump in our drift mine. You really don't want to miss that. And if you want to get involved with that, just look for the little icon at the end of the video that looks something like that. Click on it, make a $10 pledge, and you're in like Flynn. And I'll see you on the next video.